we get on here and as the live chat start to come in, and we're going to have a lot of fun tonight on 357th episode. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring him right on the show. My buddy, Adam Rose. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's great to have you on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Man, yeah, it's a pleasure. It's definitely a pleasure to have you back on the show, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. So I think it was like I don't know. I think it was 2016, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna find that out. I think it was 2016, the last time I had you on the show. So we're gonna talk about what has been going on in the life of Adam Rose since then. Let me find out, actually, so we can have a nice little landmark of when to go by, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so you were on the show, 2016. So December. So episode 222. There we go. All right. Episode 222. Now we're at 357. So it looks like it was June, late June of 2016. So, all right. So that's what we're going to go by. So, since then, what have you done since then? Just, I know that, we're going to talk about, just your wonderful, heartfelt message that you, wrote on Instagram, I believe it was, that has been getting a lot of coverage over the past couple of weeks. But I know that you, since 2016, if I'm not mistaken, you were planning to hang up your boots, and then you kind of shaved everything, and then you kind of went the Kruger route again, and then you kind of went the Adam Rose route again. Am I accurate so far?
Yes. Well, the shaving of the head thing was like a Britney Spears meltdown moment. Gotcha. That just carried on too long. Gotcha. It wasn't a good idea. Gotcha. But, we've tried many different versions. I view it as a retirement. I just view it as a really slow retirement.
Okay. How slow? How slow is the slow retirement?
Slowly edging our way out, slowly.
So how slow is the slow the retirement? Do you have any particular dates, or are you just kind of doing a few year retirement tour?
Well, that's the thing, I think it's a retirement when I actually can retire, but I view myself as in retirement, if that makes sense. Okay. So it could drag on forever. This could be a 10-year retirement goal we need.
So you are so is it like, okay, so I'm going to need some help on this. So is this like a person who was like a teacher for like 30 years and they decided to officially retire, but they still work at the school? Very good. Yeah. Very good way of looking at it. Good analogy there?
Very good way of looking at it.
Okay.
Yeah, very close. Very close.
So now you're the teacher who's already retired, the veteran, but you don't, it's like, you don't have anything else to do. I mean, you have a lot of things else to do, but
I don't want to go home,
Yeah, you don't want to go home.
I just hang out at the school all the time. Pretty much.
All your friends for the past 30 years are still working there, so you're like, I might as well just go, I might as well just go.
I'll just go in anyway, That's sort of what it is,
Okay, now, it sounds I can understand it a lot more than before. And then it just, I'm retired and wrestle. But now it makes so much more sense. So thank you for that further. Thank you for explaining to me what you meant and for the analogy to be accurate there. So now you're in an active working
on point analogy.
Yeah, a working retirement. How about that? How's that sound?
Or it's like you watch the old detective movies.
Mm-hmm.
and like the detective that just doesn't want to quit his job, so he like keeps the case going even when he's supposed to be at home. You know, I'm like that guy.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Makes much more sense now. So before we get into any questions, let's dive into just what you've been doing, just as far as just indie work over the past couple, 2.5 years. Last time I talked to you, what are some interesting matches that you've had, some promotions you've been competing for? Just let the listeners know what you've been up to since then.
Well, I mean, I was pretty busy. I think I have the typical, WWE, leaving the WWE story. You're hot for a minute, and then your light burns out within about 3 months, so to speak. So, it was hot for a little while, and then it started getting harder. And, the indies are a whole different thing to survive. And I was a little spoiled in my WWE experience because, I mean, I did the indies in South Africa, but I never did the indies in America, and it's a totally different ballgame. But I will say this. Since leaving the WWE, I do think I'm actually a better worker for work in the indies. Yeah, if you know what I'm saying. You're able to hone your craft a little bit better.
Got it.
Doing that. So, yeah, it's been one heck of an experience. I think I've wrestled just about everywhere. I'm not even going to mention names because, I mean, I've wrestled tiny little promotions in the front of the, a Harley Davidson thing. I did that. I've done some nice, decent shows too, like MCW in Maryland is very cool.
Yeah.
And, but, I've seen everything. I have a full experience now of the indie wrestling scene in the United States. And it has its own magic to it,
Yeah. MCW is very, very popular indie promotion. It's pretty over now.
They got a really good setup.
Yeah, definitely. So what? Okay, so here's the hard question already. What's any talks with WWE over the past couple of years since you've been gone?
No.
No desire for them.
I've also been in a place where. I don't want to get into it too early in this, but I've been in a place where I'm just learning to live life as a normal person,
Sure.
And that was a huge adjustment for me, and just figuring out what normal life is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I haven't really been in the hunt for anything big, if you know what I'm saying. I haven't been hunting it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in survival mode, and I'm just learning to do what most people think is normal,
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. We're Facebook friends, and I've been looking at a lot of your Facebook, comments, and you've become quite vocal and quite expressive on Facebook as of late, just to kind of, just to show your personality a little bit more. In a way, and I think that's actually, pretty interesting, I think that's, I think that right now it's one of those things that, especially seeing, just your transformation, as far as, substance and overcoming things like that. I commend you for it, man, and we'll get to that a little bit later as more people jump on the chat here for the questions. But man, I commend you for that, and you've been very, very funny in your memes and stuff like that, and what motivates you to really do like that and to express yourself that way on social media?
Well, this is the thing too. I haven't got anybody policing me at all anymore, so I can pretty much share how I feel.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm not worried about any ramifications because I don't have anybody to beat anymore.
That's a good point.
And I can just be honest and be myself and be real. And life has been nothing but real. And I like the idea that people can see that, if your life's a train smash like mine was, it was an absolute train smash. It's okay.
Yeah.
We get another day. I like to know that people that are going through that can look at my stuff and know that there's another day coming.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. It's You've became a
sugarcoat
motivational speaker.
I didn't mean to. I think
inadvertently.
I think a lot of it was just personal expression, which I think people related to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly. So let's talk a little bit about. I'm interested in this as well. Just we kind of last time you were on the show, we kind of talked about just the final parts, the latter parts of your WWE career, and the social outcasts and things like that. Now, let's touch base on that a little bit more, just to refresh people's memory. Now you went, you were Leo Kruger in NXT. It was kind of who came up with that, by the way?
Me.
Okay.
Me and Dusty Rhodes came up with it. Leo Kruger had like 5 different versions as well.
Yes.
There was at one point the King of Africa, and then at one point it was just Leo Kruger, whatever, and then it became like Craven the Hunter towards the end of it, and even became a Bushwhacker at one point.
That's true.
So there was many different faces of Kruger.
Yeah.
Was
there? Why did it go so many directions? It just seems like the kind of menacing hunter type of feel to it was kind of getting over, but it just went everywhere and sideways. What was the cause of that? Just them not having any conclusive direction with that character?
I'll be honest with you, that and trying to see what people would get behind.
Gotcha.
Like I enjoyed the King of Africa stuff. I enjoyed that. It had we got decent reaction from that, but the one that people liked was when we did the Hunter. You're looking for something people are the most attracted to.
Sure.
And it's also my fault because I have a heavy ADD and I will continually pitch different ideas and change my character every 3 minutes if I've given the chance. So it's also my fault. So, eventually I think the Craven the Hunter stuff was probably the version of Kruger that was the most popular. But the only problem with that was I was 6'1" and barely 220 pounds, and I don't think I could pull it off right.
So you think? Well, I don't know if the 6'1", because I'm 6'1" and I'm taller than most people around me. But maybe the 220 mark. Did they think you need to be a little beefier?
I always use this as an example. Luke Harper would have been a great Leo Kruger.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, I just think I was too small for it, and I felt like sometimes I was playing wrestler instead of just being wrestler. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And when you're playing wrestler, the crowd can see right through it.
Makes sense, because sometimes height doesn't necessarily,
Yeah.
It seems like heaviness is looked more than height in a lot of cases, because I remember as you and I are around the same age, I think you and so I remember when I was a kid, my favorite all-time favorite tag team was the Road Warriors, and I remember Hawk and Animal, they just seemed like King Kong and Godzilla to me at the
bigger
time.
Than mine.
You know what I mean? And it's funny because a couple of years ago I actually interviewed Animal, still a big guy, but I'm taller than he is. So
not what you thought, right?
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. I know when I interviewed him up close and personal. And as I got older and teenagers and in my 20s and 30s, and it's like when he was in the WWE, toward the time where they wasn't really booking him right, he started to seem smaller and smaller and smaller as I got older and older and older. And then like I said, when I interviewed him, it was just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? He's not as big as I thought. Still a big guy, but still, as far as tall, it's just not there. And
probably, so, maybe not the tallest, but still a 300-pound, monster in his time.
A monster. Yeah, still a monster. So it seems as if the big, the heaviness is what they really look for. Just like Otis Dojovic, for instance, from Heavy Machinery. big dude, smaller guy, as far as height, but big dude. So I wonder if they would have. Do you think that it could have worked if you would have gained maybe 20, 30 pounds or something?
Possibly, but I'm not the biggest guy. I still remember it was John Laurinaitis that came to me, and I mean they were getting ready to actually fire me at the point because they didn't feel like people were getting enough momentum. On top of that, they just brought the Wyatts in, so they didn't want anything, creepy other than the Wyatts. And it was like, I was like the Walmart version of the Wyatts. No offense to Walmart. But, and
that's a really funny way to put it. Walmart Wyatt.
So, John Laurinaitis came to me and said to me, "You're trying to be something you're not. You're trying to be this big, scary guy, and you're just not." He said, "Try be what you are. You're relatively good looking." Back then I was all right looking. And, use the assets you already have instead of trying to create assets you don't naturally possess. And that's sort of where Adam Rose came from, was going more towards what I naturally look like,
Gotcha. Okay. And
I need to stop saying, I say,
Oh, no, it's all right. no worries.
All right.
I'm about to become a doctor in psychology, so a lot of people have their kind of buffer words. I say a lot and so
Yeah.
And I just said so
I say you know what I'm saying. I say you know what I'm saying, and I irritate myself when I say it. Terrible.
You're not unique. Everybody has their buffer words, and so it all works out. And some people just pause. Their buffer is just to be silent for a couple seconds, but just American.
Like a Woody Allen movie.
There you go.
Woody Allen movies are just and ahs the whole way through it. It's crazy, and it works.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So with Adam Rose, I was really excited about the Adam Rose character. And for those joining the chat, the hashtag is Ask Adam. Hashtag Ask Adam for the Q&A that we're about to start here. Thanks everybody for joining the chat, by the way. As far as the Adam Rose character, I was really interested with the Adam Rose character. I thought the theme music was amazing. I thought it was exciting. And I'm going to be, full disclosure here. I actually worked out to your theme music before. I like going to the gym a lot, and I actually worked out to your theme music.
Not on my playlist, I can tell you that.
It's I don't it's typically not on my playlist. 99% of my playlist is Christian rap, but every now and then you throw in some Adam Rose WWE theme song just to kind of balance it out a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. It was I like the character, but here's the thing: on the main roster, it seemed as if there was no. Again, it just seemed like there was no direction with it, and with the kind of conga line thing and the rosebuds, which funny. I want to ask you about Becky Lynch here in a little bit. She was a rosebud and Braun Strowman as well. Very interesting stuff there. But yeah, it just didn't seem like there was a direction with it. What was the initial kind of we're going to put you in the main roster, and this is where you're going. What was that?
Well, I mean, Hunter was really honest with me about what my potential on the main roster was. And he said right to my face, 2 years, mid-card push.
Really?
And,
wow.
Yes, the idea, though, and that's not a bad thing. That's a blessing. That's something you should say, thank you, God. I got this opportunity, because now you get the opportunity to prove that maybe you're worth more.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's not a bad thing. That's a blessing. Hunter was always extremely honest and straight up with me about what they saw.
Gotcha.
And I think the problem was NXT, with the crowd that continually came to see the same crowd every time we shot it.
Yep.
They got to watch the evolution of me becoming Adam, which I think was half the reason I got that reaction, was just watching the evolution from Kruger to Adam.
True.
And then on top of that, the way we could control the product at NXT, we couldn't control it the same way in the WWE. Mm-hmm. For instance, and it's a small thing, but it makes a big difference, we couldn't drop the lights on the entrance. Mm-hmm. Why couldn't we do that? Because the Wyatts were dropping lights, so we can't have two people dropping lights. So I was unable to drop lights. Now you get to watch all the rosebuds sort of just funnel out, and form their position, and it kills some of the magic, Good point. On top of that, the music was changed. The original music was Above Envy, something or other, and then they changed it because obviously they needed to own the music, and the music was good, but in my opinion, still not as good as the original. And that changed the feel of it again. Gotcha. Then we went from fire blowers and hot chicks in thongs to hot dogs and whoopee cushions, and it just changed. The thing started to evolve, and it evolved out of my control.
That's good.
And it evolved out of Hunter's control. I mean, Hunter actually came to me one time and said, "You become someone's perception of your character rather than what the character is," and I was becoming someone's perception of the character, and that it was a kid's character and not really this. Adam Rose would have done great in ECW. If we'd had those barriers and we could do what we wanted, that character would have worked there, but we couldn't do it in this environment.
So was it supposed to be like an exotic character? Was that the intent?
What? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
What was it? Were you supposed to be? Was Adam Rose supposed to be an exotic character? Was that the reason why it didn't work, because it was supposed to be exotic?
Well, I mean, exotic's fine, but I also think when you're working with something that's that different, it's that out of the box, it's that not the norm, to try and debut it as a babyface is risky.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because people they're not, you don't relate to the guy who's a complete weirdo.
Gotcha.
So what happens is there's immediately a block between me and the audience as a babyface. I think if the character had debuted as a heel, it would have been much easier for the audience to digest him.
Okay. I don't know, because it just seemed like there was so much momentum coming from NXT because you were so over as a babyface with that character. To me, it made sense that you came as a babyface.
Yeah, it's a different crowd completely. I still think we should have come in as a heel and let the crowd decide, okay, I like this quirky little guy. You know what I'm saying? Let the crowd do that. Okay. Rather than, we're going to force this down your throat. He's a good guy.
Sure.
He's kind of weird, so we hope you like him.
Yeah.
And that's not their point. I mean, they tried many different ways of making it work. And eventually you got to move on to the next thing.
That's true. Yeah, it seemed like it was backwards. Like when you became a heel, it was just kind of like a dead zone. Like, because because the Congo line, it just seems like the people just was not interested in the character altogether. So your heel turn didn't spruce up your character at all. It just flatlined.
No.
Yeah. So that's
exactly. And part of that was because we had this situation. I don't know if you remember the whole thing. I don't even remember half of it. But I know the bunny I was going to attack the bunny, and that would be the heel turn. And the problem was we took so long to reveal the bunny. We never did reveal the bunny. We couldn't figure out who it was going to be. And by the time I actually did finally turn on him, instead of getting like the crowd upset that I hit the bunny, they actually cheered me for doing it because they were tired of him too.
That. Yep.
So we just you got this really short little window of opportunity to capitalize on in wrestling.
Yep.
And the crowd's hot. That window's there. You got to capitalize at that moment. If you miss it, it's gone forever.
100%. Absolutely. Let's address a few of these questions before we get into just your current whereabouts and what are your doings. So the hashtag is Ask Adam. Kathy's asking, what do you think of John Cena?
What was the question again? Sorry, you broke up.
What do you think of John Cena?
Oh, I had a great experience with John Cena. A lot of guys had bad things to say about Cena, but I don't judge people by what people say about you. I judge people by how you actually treat me and what my interactions with you are.
Yeah, completely.
And John Cena was always very friendly to me. John Cena's always he is, whether you like him or not, the hardest worker in the room. And on top of that, you could go ask him stuff. He's open to suggestions. He tries to help you along. I had nothing but good experiences with John Cena.
Fantastic. Mahmoud is asking, what do you think of No Way Jose stealing your gimmick? That's what Mahmoud said.
I don't think he stole my gimmick, honestly.
Yeah.
I think he's got more potential than I did to make it work. That's what I feel. And unfortunately, having a group of people with you is difficult. It's not easy when you got it. This is a part of your character, part of your gimmick. Like, I loved having Rosebuds, but after a year of doing it, this was exhausting. And so I feel bad for him that he's got to deal with that, because I know that's rough. But I think he has more potential. I'm not sure what they're doing with him right now, but I feel like he has more athletic potential, at least, than what I did.
Got you. Met him in person. Big guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's deceivingly big. Yeah.
He is, and he's very talented, actually.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he is.
He's very talented. But once again, it might just be a mid-card talent.
That's a good point.
That might just be what it is.
Yeah. Now,
not good, it's not bad. It just is what it is.
Now, I'm curious about this. Now, there's been plenty of talks before of like the former Rosebuds. Of course, I just mentioned, Becky Lynch and Braun Strowman, two of the biggest names in WWE right now. Now, how was that selection process? Now, I do know people who, were a part of that selection process, and they had to audition and stuff like that, and you get, a small, a few bucks here and there, but was it like a local thing, or was it just like they had a few Rosebuds that were just kind of consistent and the rest were locals? How was that selection process?
Yeah, it changed. Initially, when we did it at NXT, it was, now you must remember, these talents were already developmental talents. They were already all signed talents.
Got you.
And those talents became the initial Rosebud crew. That was Becky and Braun and I forget people's names, unfortunately.
Elias.
But, it was a good, solid crew of people. I remember the Lemon, Ryan Katz. He was a part of, NXT crew, and he did that. And it's like that crew became the initial Rosebud group.
Gotcha.
And they really took it seriously. Like, a guy like Braun could have said, I'm not doing this. I'm 6'6". Yeah. I'm 300 and whatever pound. I don't have to be a Rosebud.
True.
And his attitude was so positive. He said, what do you want me to do? He used to help control other Rosebuds. He was officially the Rosebud General for a while. Mm-hmm. And, he just had such a great attitude about it. He was a guy who didn't have to do it. He just didn't have to do it. So we had an initial crew that I think when I debuted came on with me a few times. Mm-hmm. And then that crew went back to NXT. And then we started using locals, and we started using people in the area and things like that. So it changed as we were going.
Gotcha. Okay. Which makes sense because it's cost effective because you're not paying, the NXT talent, you're just paying a substantially lower amount of money for locals. Just to come out and get a couple bucks.
Plus, they didn't want the NXT talent's names to get tarnished by it.
True.
They had potential they knew Braun's potential. Mm-hmm. They knew the guys' potential that were in the group. So if we exposed them too much, we killed them in the long run.
That's a good point.
So it was get them in, get them out, and then start developing them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good point. Brandon's asking, hey, hashtag Ask Adam. Hey, Adam, how's your little one? I saw the documentary about you, and it hit me in the feels. I had sympathy for you. After that, I wish you could go back and get a good push. Very thoughtful comment there.
Maverick's doing very well. He actually just had his feeding tube out because he's been on the feeding tube, obviously, since his birth. Yeah. So it's a big thing for him. He's finally not got the tube in, and he can be like every other kid at school. Mm-hmm. So it's a big for him.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's great. He's a little tyrant, but he's great.
Yeah.
Him and his brother, Levi, they're quite a little tag team.
Nice. Gruss is asking, did you cosplay Hollywood Hogan?
I did. I did. Sorry, and I shouldn't have, but that's my ADD again. I was like, I'm just going to do this because I like this idea. Made no sense at all for me to do it, but I did it anyway.
Euro is asking, if you ran WWE, Would you prefer a family-friendly product or more edgy storylines?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I think the family-friendly product in the long run does make more money and has more investment in it. But I do think for diehard wrestling fans, the edgy stuff's where it is.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult line to balance, you know?
Sure. Let's see. Sufi's asking, okay, Derek's asking, what is it really like working for WWE? Overall, is it a positive vibe backstage or negative?
My experience was a very positive one. My experience was not a negative experience. You know, it's like anything else. It's competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's stressful. It's difficult at times. It's tiring, but they're definitely not going out of their way to make people's lives harder. They try and make it as pleasant as possible for everyone there.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Sufi's asking, hashtag Ask Adam, hope your recovery's going well. Question is, who gave you the best advice in the WWE and what was the advice? Good question.
Best advice in the WWE. I would probably have to say Hunter, and this was in NXT when he said to me, it's a marathon and not a sprint.
Good stuff. Absolutely. Cody's asking, who was supposed to be behind the bunny in the end?
That we still don't know. I don't think there was ever an end game, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. At one point, the idea was to have Vince do it, but that didn't make sense either.
At one point, you said,
I mean, the
Vince?
idea was, I personally wanted them to use like a wrestler from the 80s that could have been seen to be down on his luck, that needed the opportunity, you know, and like I felt like that was the way to go with it, but we ended up not knowing what to do with it.
Gotcha. So if I heard you correctly, you said Vince was thought about at one point in time?
At one point, that was some serious discussion because there were, how do we pay this off? Because it had a huge amount of momentum at one point.
Yeah.
And we just didn't really know how to pay it off. Mm. So you couldn't debut a top NXT talent as the bunny because we've tarnished him. Mm-hmm. We couldn't, you know, we couldn't figure out how to pay the thing off the correct way. So at one point it was like, well, let's just make Vince do it. And they were like, but why would Vince do it? Because he's a crazy billionaire and he can do whatever he wants. Yeah. You know, and but that didn't happen. And I still think getting a guy from the 80s who needed, like, you know, we could have made it like it was an opportunity for him and one of the guys that could still go. We could have had something out of that. Sure. That was my idea with it.
Sure. This is okay. So Wild Boy's asking, do you feel the Leo Kruger character could have been more successful in the main roster over Adam Rose?
I mean, if you look at it, types of characters, possibly, because Leo was a more serious character, and you have more traction as a serious character rather than a funny comedy character of sorts. Mm-hmm. So in that line, maybe, but I honestly do not believe I would have pulled Leo Kruger off properly anyway.
Gross is asking, how many superstars played the bunny?
Obviously, many locals played it. When it came to in-ring action and activity, Justin Gabriel did most of it. Mm-hmm. Brad Maddox did it once. Sami Zayn did it once, believe it or not.
Yeah, right.
Tyler Breeze did it once. But when it came to actual in-ring activity, it was Justin Gabriel.
Gotcha. Yeah, it you could tell that it was PJ, just from the type of yeah. He has a very unique wrestling style, and it was pretty obvious to me that it was PJ.
Yeah.
I did hear that it was. I did hear one time that it was Sammy, and so that's interesting.
Yeah.
Never knew about Brad Maddox. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
He did it a few times too. Yeah.
Oh wow. It could have revealed the bunny to be Brad Maddox at the end. That could have turned into something interesting.
That's what he wanted. He actually did pitch the idea.
He did really.
He actually did pitch it.
Brad wanted to be the one under. Wow, he wanted to be the
one point. Yeah,
interesting, very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tuck Graph is asking did you have a personal preference on who would be the bunny? So out of everybody that was discussed, what would be your personal preference?
What, like for the payoff at the end, or for the guys that were actually doing it?
For the guys who were actually doing it.
Well, I like Gabriel doing it because we were friends. You know, we go back all the way to South Africa together. So
sure.
It was cool having Gabriel do it.
Yep.
Just I felt bad for him doing it sometimes because he's so talented, and it was, you know, sorry that you have to be a bunny tonight, bro. Yeah, but and he did it well too. He did some really creative stuff with it when he was doing it. He took it seriously. He tried to get the bunny over. You know, he didn't just be like, oh, I don't want to be a bunny.
Yeah.
You know, he did the best he could with it.
Yeah, I got to play the hand you're dealt.
And he's super talented. Uber talented.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I've had him on the show before, and I've seen him live competing. Yeah, very, very talented guy, for sure. Underrated, in my opinion.
Better as well. He's been getting better.
Yeah, I agree. Kramer's asking, how was it dealing with indie promoters on the? How is it? Because you're still in the indie scene. How is it dealing with indie promoters on the indie circuit?
Some good, some bad.
Okay.
You know, some of it's good, some of it's nightmarish. But I mean, you just never know what you're going to get. But I've had mainly positive experiences. So.
Got it. Fourth Wall was asking, what is Vince McMahon like? Be honest. Of course, he's going to be honest.
Oh yeah, I get this question a lot. I was scared to death of Vince when I went on the road. Scared to death. I avoided him like the plague for a while. I didn't want him to look at me. I would run the other way if he came down the passage. I was scared to death of him.
Wow.
But in actual fact, he was very approachable. He gave me time I probably didn't deserve. And, you know, he would open his office up and talk to you and, you know, figure some stuff out with you and tell you what to do. And he was honest, too. He would tell you when you dropped the ball.
Yeah.
He was very honest when you dropped the ball. And he would tell you when you caught it, you know. He didn't sugarcoat anything. And once again, I don't have a horrible story about Vince McMahon. He was great to me.
Yep. Good stuff. Who do you look up to the most in the wrestling business? Who is your favorite legend? It's a two-parter.
My favorite superstar of all time is always going to be the British Bulldog. And that never changes. But who do I look up to? I mean, you look up to someone like John Cena. It may seem cliche, it may seem corny, but you look up to someone like that because he doesn't have to be the hardest worker in the room anymore, but he always is. You know, that work ethic is something you can learn from.
Yeah.
And there's a reason he was who he was, and there's a reason that happened, you know?
Certainly. Steven's asking, who would you consider to be the best person you've worked with in the ring and why?
I didn't get to do it a lot, but I really enjoyed working Dolph Ziggler.
Oh,
I had a great time with Dolph. I enjoyed working Cesaro. Cesaro was great. Tyler Breeze is excellent. I had a great time with Tyler Breeze. Those are some of the good experiences I had. I mean, you know, I did a dance-off with The Miz once, and I mean, that was a great experience. So, you know, you never know.
Yeah. Anything can happen in the WWE.
Exactly.
Tuck is asking, do you know whether the bunny is being recruited by AEW? They already have a bear. Bernard the bear.
He'll probably get a contract before me.
Yeah.
At least he got over.
AEW should bring you in, man. You're a legend in the business. I'm sure that you'll get over. Derek, I got a few more. Appreciate your time, man. Appreciate you doing this. It's been fun.
Problem.
Derek is asking, what is it like taking a choke slam from Kane?
Oh, that was great. We did, I do believe, Social Outcast got choke slammed by the Big Show and Kane once. And it was a competition between all four of us to see who could get the highest. And I do believe I won that.
Nice.
I take that with pride.
Congratulations. You,
Thank you.
The Elevated Chokeslam Award goes to Adam Rose. Well done.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so we'll as more questions come, I have time for a few more if possible. I do before we close with you this evening, I do want to talk about just what's really made the news over the past few weeks is just your heartfelt message that you had on Instagram about just your recovery and just the fact that you've really rebounded from a lot of things. Just I'm trying to pull the message up here, and it's really got a lot of steam about it, and so it was really heartfelt, and just what exactly motivated you to write the message on social media? Like, sometimes the thing is with social media, you always run a risk, especially if you're a popular person, if you have a kind of a celebrity status of any sort, you always run the risk of people just grossly just sabotaging, your intent and just taking it, somewhere totally different. Thankfully, your message was well received. Just from a media standpoint, and just a period, standpoint period. I'm trying to find it. I am going to show the one that you had that shared on Facebook that says when y'all dating, once y'all married, don't do this to your husband. That was the funniest. The funniest meme.
It's very accurate.
I have seen in a long time, and I shared it. I have a group chat with some good friends of mine. I shared it, and it was absolutely hilarious. All right, so I have it right here, actually. Do you mind if I read it out loud?
No, go for it.
All right, it says, this was January the 16th. It says, I've never really spoken about this, but the picture on the left is me at the height of my drug usage, 170 pounds. The picture on the right is me now after 415 days sober, 223 pounds. I'll be talking openly from here on about the disease named addiction that almost cost me life. God has given me a second chance. I don't plan to waste it. I want to thank the WWE for their help. They went above and beyond for me when I know I didn't deserve it. They helped save my life. Stay posted as I plan to share my story and this journey with you all. So go a little bit more into it as far as just your intention and just what you meant by it. And again, it's been well received, man. So thanks for sharing this.
Yeah, I mean, I never really had spoken about it before, and I also didn't want to speak about it while I was still, in the really early stages of it, because it takes a while to come around.
Sure.
But for the first time, I mean, I think what happened is someone sent me a picture. That picture that's me on the left. Someone sent me that picture, and I couldn't believe it. And that's what prompted me to post it, because I didn't even realize how bad I actually looked. When you're in the height of your addiction, you don't realize how sick you look. You don't see it. Other people do, but you don't see it.
Yeah.
And I had gone from, when I was in NXT, I weighed in about 228 pounds as Leo Kruger, and I on the main roster was down to $165 at one point.
You mind if I? And,
you mind
if I show this picture to the public right now? It's on. I mean, it's public. Okay. As you're talking, I'm going to show this picture. So you go ahead.
Yeah.
You said the picture on the left.
That's me really sick, and unfortunately not realizing I'm sick, and unfortunately still thinking I'm okay, and still think I can move forward. And I couldn't. And I had to really, you got to reach rock bottom before you want to get any better. And it ended up with overdosing, and it ended up with me living in my Jeep on the beach in Panama City, still thinking I'm okay. And one of my good friends, Bull Dempsey, was on the phone with me one night, and he said, "You got to get help. You're going to die." And he spoke to someone in the WWE. They contacted me, and the WWE actually sent a car to pick me up, take me to Tallahassee, and fly me into treatment.
Wow.
They didn't have to do that. You know, I had left the WWE in ill repute. I had been an embarrassment to the WWE. I had done damage to their name. They did not have to do what they did. Mm-hmm. And they were so supportive and so helpful. They got me into treatment on their dime, and have ever since that been helping me. You know, I mean, it's a long journey. Recovery is a lifelong journey. You're always an addict. You're never not an addict, but you're continually in recovery, and the WWE has done nothing but support me through my recovery.
That's awesome.
And so, you know, people want to knock on the big corporations. That hasn't been my experience. Yeah. My experience has been that once you're a part of the WWE family, you're a part of that family for life. Yeah. And they will help you and look after you when you need it.
Fantastic, man. That's a fantastic story. And it's really cool. It's really cool to be open about that. And of course, you know, a lot of people get flack, you know, from WWE. And like you said, you know, there's a lot of negative connotation when it comes to WWE a lot of times from people who are no longer there. I've talked to a lot of people, still have good conversations with a lot of people who were released from WWE. And yeah, I mean, you know, I commend you for really speaking up toward the positive, you know, end of it, and just how they really helped you, you know, really save your life. So kudos to that, man. I'm glad that we chat a lot nowadays, and I'm glad that I'm a part of your life in a very small way, but I'm glad to be a part of it, man. Absolutely. So let the listeners know just you know, what's going on nowadays, where to find you on social media, and where to find you on the indies.
Yeah, I think on Facebook I'm under my real name, which is Raymond Lapon, and then on Instagram it's supposed to be I'm a Lamoon, but I didn't do it right, and it says I'm Male Moon.
Yeah,
so
with 3 O's, by the way.
IMALEM. Yeah, with 3 O's, and it's a terrible thing. I can't change it now because I got the blue tick and I don't know how to do it. So it'll remain I Male Moon.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I got shows coming up just about every weekend, but I couldn't tell you where they are.
I Male Moon.
Yeah. If you watch the Instagram, I'll put the little posters up and you can see where I'm going to be and stuff like that.
Good stuff. Ray, Adam, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, man. I really, really appreciate you coming on and spending your time and, you know, sharing your story with us tonight, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Good stuff, man. It's been a lot of fun. Have a good night. Bye. Adam Rose. Good stuff, man. Thank you so much for sharing your story here on the show, on the Pancakes and Powerslams show. Thank you for the all the chat to address the you know, to Q&A, some really good questions for Adam. And again, man, thank you for sharing your story, man. That was fantastic. Really putting WWE over. That's really good to hear. So, all right. So for the sake of time, we got a lot to talk about and a little bit of time to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. We got some Undertaker trivia. So this is the night of, for the next 6 weeks, we're going to do a long series for the flavor of the week this week, this series until WrestleMania. We're going to spend the rest of, from now until the WrestleMania for the flavor of the week, for the flavor of the week segments. We're going to talk about, we're going to be reviewing the Undertaker WrestleMania matches, and I got all types of Undertaker trivia. I probably won't have exclusive Undertaker trivia every week. I do tonight as far as the trivia for the Undertaker, because this may be, you know, there's some reports that he's not scheduled for WrestleMania right now, and he is rumored to be the first ballot on the Hall of Fame list for this year. So we're going to celebrate the Undertaker's career in the WWE. Tonight, we're going to talk about his WrestleMania matches from 1991 to 1997. We're going to just talk about the matches and review them. And, of course, get your reviews of it as well. We're going to talk about shortly TakeOver Phoenix and, of course, the Royal Rumble. Of course, for those who are first joining us, who are joining us for the first time, again, thank you. Support the show. Join the Patreon right there. We have weekly interviews every single week. Last week we had Casey Lennox, and week before that we had Sean Davari, my good buddy Sean Davari, who is now a WWE agent. It's public. It's public, so I can say something about it. And so Aria Davari actually tweeted about it. So good. So kudos, man. Big congratulations to my buddy Sean Davari, man. Well deserved. Again, also Sanjay Dutt and Biss are also on the agent staff now, the backstage staff for WWE now. There's also some rumors. I don't know how accurate there are, but WWE's thinking about starting an NXT in India, or a performance center in India. And Dutt may run that. I actually spoke to Dutt on the phone last week, I think it was. He didn't share too much about WWE as far as like what he's going to do, but just called him and congratulated him. So, and he said thanks, and can't share too much of what he's doing, and but congratulations to him, and you know, my buddy Sean Davari, man, well deserved. He's put so much in the business, and you know, we've texted back and forth, and I've congratulated him, and so well deserved with Sean Davari. All right, so let's bring in my boy Evan Tech Prout, and again, before I do that, join the Patreon, support the show, weekly interviews. Adam Rose, he's been on there before. Speaking of that, I think last week I had an announcement that was a bit post-mature. It wasn't premature because it was up. I guess post-mature because it was down. And last time I heard, that decision was changed. So let me verify before I do it again. And I think we're good to go. Let me verify this before I make an announcement again. So as we do that, support the show. And again, like I said, there's packages for the Patreon, but for those who are regulars here on the Pancakes and Powerslams show, we came up with an agreement. If people join the Patreon, I will keep the weekly interviews going. I've had a weekly interview. I've had a wrestler on here every single week consecutively since I think like 2016 or something like that. I've had a total of 145 wrestlers on the Pancakes and Powerslams show, over 200 interviews, and so I put a lot of hard work having this show for you all to enjoy. So please show me your thanks back by giving to the Patreon. So the Pancakes and Powerslams show up. The Pancakes and Powerslams Wikipedia page is up and running. So there was some issues with it last week. But yeah, Pancakes and Powerslams, ladies and gentlemen, Wikipedia. We have made it to the Wikipedia, ladies and gentlemen. So congratulations for the Pancakes and Powerslams show. It's official. Wikipedia page. Looks like we're doing something important. Evan Tech Proud, how are you tonight, sir?
Doing all right, man. Good to have most of my voice back. That's how allergies try to take me out.
Yeah,
after
man.
The Royal Rumble. It's good to be here. Congrats on another great interview with Adam Rose.
Thank you, sir.
You know, having over 200 interviews. I know if you would combine all the interviews you've had, over 200, me having over 200 myself, my list is a tad under yours as far as wrestlers. You know, I've had all types of people on mine.
Yeah.
Enough content, if you will, for all fans of the Pancakes and Powerslams. Under the Mat Radio would have over a year's worth. Matter of fact, 2-3, you talking about combined 6 years for you. Well, going on 7 years for you, going on 6 years.
It'll be 7 years in April. 7 years. Yep.
Yeah, 7 years in April, 6 years for me in July 3rd. So our fans will be covered for years.
Yes, sir.
On end with content. Adam Rose, great interview.
Yep.
Brother on him. Rugged Ronnie Garvin, I had him earlier.
Nice.
I can announce he will be on Pancakes and Powerslams in the coming month or so.
Yep.
So, very interesting stuff.
Yep.
Do you want to break some news? You heard it here first. It was said on my show. I'm going to mention it first as far as me. Chris Jericho is looking to face Shinsuke Nakamura in next year's Wrestle Kingdom. He's looking to face him. That is legit. If you hear Featherstone or myself mention anything like this on air, we have our sources and friends within all of, how do you say it, brother? All of the different motherships.
The mothership.
TNA. All the different motherships.
Dusty baby.
Dusty Daddy, the belly welly, froggy splash.
That's
all of the motherships, ERH, even AEW. Jericho does want to face Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom next year. Do not expect Nakamura. Do not be surprised, and we'll catch you on about Deanie Boy. Don't be surprised if you don't see good old Nakamura return to E. Don't be surprised if you don't see good old Ziggler return either. So you heard it here first. I can confirm. Jericho, Y2J, man of 1,004 holds.
That's right. 1,004.
That's what we got his eyes on.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Appreciate you sharing that, man.
No problem.
Shout out to Derek, said needs more viewers. Podcast deserves more viewers, is what he said, man. God bless you. Appreciate that. Awesome stuff.
It's coming.
Zed says, great stuff, Chris. Wild Boy says, you're amazing, Chris. Love nights like this. Man, listen, if you put me over, I'm going to put you over, just like I did before. Yeah, man, if you know, I appreciate stuff like that. So if I see stuff like that in the chat and I catch it, I'm going to put you back over. King Larry said, wow, nice man, respect. Gerald said, congratulations. Jeffrey is asking what is the Patreon. Good question. It's right above my head right here. There it goes. Boom. www.patreon.com / Pancakes and Powerslams. Tammy's asking, my Express question was going to be about Dean, but WWE already answered that today. There you go. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. All right.
I got to take a trivia, too, if you get stuck.
Go for it. We'll start with yours.
Undertaker trivia for everybody listening. What was Undertaker's first prop? What is the first ever Undertaker prop, or should I say gimmick, that he used when he arrived in the WWE or F?
There you go. The first prop, the first gimmick of The Undertaker. All right, so let's just real quick, just chat room, share your thoughts on TakeOver. Gabriel's asking, ask Chris, with Seth Rollins rumored to be facing Brock at Mania. Boo, by the way. Do you think WWE made the right choice in having him win the Rumble, or could they have just had him earn a title shot at Elimination Chamber? I'm not. You know what we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about Rumble here, right? Just real following here very soon. I'm not okay. I mean, I'm okay with Seth winning the Rumble. I'm not opposed to it. Like I've said it before, I wanted, if Seth wins, I would prefer him to go against Daniel Bryan. Now, here's the fun part of it. Daniel Bryan could actually, because since it's only in 3 weeks, Seth Rollins, and I'm thinking about this even as we're talking. I'm really interested in this potential here. Everybody's thinking Seth Brock. I think this possibly could happen since we got like 17 F5s from Brock, maybe that's a way of taking Rollins off of air for a while, kind of bringing the mystique up. And, you know, you have Elimination Chamber in 3 weeks. Daniel Bryan retains the title at WrestleMania. Not at WrestleMania, but Daniel Bryan retains the title at the Elimination Chamber. And then at the end of the show, Seth Rollins comes out and challenges Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. How about that? That's what I'm hoping happens. So
we're going to see Braun against Brock at Mania?
I would be 100% on board for Braun versus Brock. It has a larger than life feel to it, which it should. There's still some unfinished business. You can use Baron Corbin as a filler feud for the next couple of months before he goes against Brock, because Brock's not going to make many appearances.
Of course.
So Baron Corbin would be a perfect filler feud. I don't know exactly why they're just throwing in Drew McIntyre at that. That's weird to me. I don't know why they're doing that. But here's the deal. That would be preferred for me. And I just came up with something else. Here we go. Ready? So right now they're doing. So if they don't do Braun versus Brock, which I would prefer, it seems like they're having Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin be a team, which I'm not a big fan of. I think Drew McIntyre should be the top heel on Raw right now. They've done a terrible job booking him since he lost to Finn at TLC. But it seems like they may do the Corbin-Drew thing, and they may stretch this out. And it seems like Braun's going to be outnumbered, and then, man, Bray Wyatt comes, man, and he teams back up with Braun, and so you have Bray and Braun against Corbin and Drew. So looks like we may have that. All right, so the question, so the responses to your question, Evan, was I see Earn and Ty and Shovel.
No, that's not it.
Another person says a bottle of embalming fluid.
No. Close, but no.
Okay.
I get two more. The embalming fluid wasn't used to 99, 98 when he was the Ministry.
Yeah, the Ministry taker.
He put it on Shammy Rock. Yeah. On the Rock.
Yeah, someone's saying wouldn't Seth try to go back after Braun first? Well, I mean, he got beat up by who was somebody he got beat up by recently that he didn't get back to. I forgot who it was, but it might have been Drew. But I don't know, man. It's I'm just not sold on Seth versus Brock. I'm sorry. I'm just not sold on it, man. And I'm like, this is the 35th, WrestleMania, a big number, a milestone number. It's going to be in New York, back to the old, traditional stomping grounds. I'm going to be there, so I want to see a good match. Evan and I are going to be there. And so, I don't know, just as if I'm going to be there for work, but, from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm there as a journalist. Sunday evening, I'm there as a fan. I don't know. It's just one of those things, man. I want to see a good card. And so far it's decent. It looks decent, but there's a couple directions that I don't like. I don't like the triple threat that's rumored between Becky, Sasha, and Ronda. Not a fan of that at all.
No.
I'm not a fan of Seth Brock. Because here's the thing: it took Roman Reigns 3 times to dethrone Brock. Strowman has won against Brock, what, 4 times? 3 or 4 times at least. I know he had the 4-man match, the singles match. He had 2 singles matches, a triple threat, and a 4-man. I think the 4-man was at SummerSlam. I think it was. I think he had a triple threat with him. I think it was him, Kane, and Brock. It was at the last year's Royal Rumble, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And then he had the singles at the Rand. Was it? I think it was like No Mercy or.
Right.
I think it was some October pay-per-view. I think it was.
Which Brock only pinned Strowman once.
Yeah, and people were upset because people were upset because he pinned him twice because he pinned. I think it was at No Mercy. Oh man, I think it was at No Mercy. I think it was October pay-per-view that he went against Brock Lesnar. Either No Mercy or I don't know. Let me find it out right now. Now I know the Crown Jewel. He pinned him. But yeah, he's went against Brock Lesnar 4 times. Yeah, so that was 2017. Yeah, No Mercy. 2017 is when he went against Brock. So over the past year and some tax, he's went against him 4 times. So hasn't won 1 time, and so Seth is supposed to, and I love Seth. Let's make this very clear. Big fan of Seth Rollins. If you listen to the show about 2 or 3 years ago, I couldn't stand Seth Rollins because I couldn't stand the way about 3 years ago, couldn't stand the way WWE
he's still needs help on the mic.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it. Now I was a huge fan of Tyler Black and ROH. The heel Seth Rollins, the Shield Seth Rollins was good. The Authority Seth Rollins, I couldn't stand it. But now, over the past year, I think Seth has been one of the best workers on the roster. I'm just not so based on Brock versus AJ, based on Brock versus Finn, based on Brock versus Daniel Bryan, and he just plowed. He had some moments. The other people had some moments against him, but he dwarfed all 3 of them, and he looked so powerful. And all 3 of them lost to him. Seth Rollins is in that same boat, that same Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan boat. Good workers, similar size. So what? And even Ambrose, throw Ambrose in there. He went against Ambrose at Mania. So you got Ambrose, AJ, Daniel Bryan, and Finn Balor, 4 smaller frame guys that are good workers. All 3 of them got just plowed over from Brock. So how am I supposed to be hooked on Seth Rollins being somebody different? Braun Strowman had 4 opportunities to beat Brock Lesnar, didn't beat him in 1. It took Roman Reigns 3 opportunities to beat Brock Lesnar, and so how am I supposed to be hooked on the fact that Seth Rollins can do it? Now, granted, Seth Rollins, I believe he also had 2 other opportunities. I know they had a singles match, and I know they had a triple threat match. I think it was at Royal Rumble with Seth, Cena, and Lesnar, which is a really good match, by the way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not sold on that. Kudos to Joe. It says, "Let's go. Love this podcast. Thanks, thank you, sir, for putting this podcast over." Steve is asking, "What do you think of the chances of possible 3 or 4-way for both main titles? This could be an opportunity to possibly swap the titles around on the brands before the TV deal kicks in." Multi-man major matches on Mania. It's not good. Just a one-on-one is a better feel to it. As far as the WrestleMania is concerned, multi-person main matches. Not a big fan of that. GHP is saying, how about when HBK fought people like Vader, Taker, Kane, Sid, Diesel? I don't see it happening now, but I would believe a heel Seth getting help to beat Brock would be more believable. See, and that's the thing. Brock does not need to be anywhere close to a babyface at this point. He's supposed... There's so little heels right now. And there's so little heels that really stand out. And there's really little baby faces that stand out. We need... Here's the thing. Tried and true method is for good heels to put over baby faces that are rising up. And good baby faces who are very established putting over heels. And again, with some storyline, with some build... just as far as the Royal Rumble is concerned, we'll just touch on that real quick. Well, as far as TakeOver Phoenix, real quick, it was a solid show. For some reason, I don't know. I may be. I don't know.
What overkill NXT?
I wasn't sold on NXT, man. I just. And I'm a big fan of NXT. I'm a big fan of NXT, big fan of the takeovers. Huge fan of the takeovers. It wasn't bad. Let's make that very, very clear. It wasn't bad. However, I don't know. Maybe because the bar was so high as far as my expectation. I don't know. I just wasn't sold on its. Just wasn't sold on as far as just overall quality from what I'm used. Yeah, from what I usually from the people were talking about Hideo Itami asking for his release. I'm looking at this right now. We'll talk about it here in just a moment. Yeah, very interesting. We'll talk about that in just a moment. He just lost to Akil Tozawa about an hour ago on 205 Live. Yeah, we'll talk about that here. Very, very interesting stuff. All right. So yeah. As far as TakeOver, real quick, Tammy saying it just wasn't as good as the previous TakeOvers. That's basically how I feel about it. It just wasn't as good. The bar is pretty high with the TakeOvers, and Dream not having a spot, Cole not having a spot. I know that they did their post-match stuff, but that's the setup for, Rock versus Foley, forklift, halftime heat. You know what I mean? So that just really didn't do much. It was a decent show, but it just wasn't very many wow factors. Gargano Ricochet was a fantastic match. Surprised, but pleasantly surprised that Gargano won the title. Yeah. Ciampa and Black was decent. But yeah. All right, so real quick on Rumble, on the Royal Rumble, of course Becky was a good call. Seth was a good call of winning the Rumble, but we'll see where it goes. Only halftime heat I'm watching is my man coming off the stove.
Rey Mysterio, he got no offense. I'm like, Dag Ray.
Yeah.
Came in, got a 619 assist. He got murdered the whole match. Dag Ray, but I mean, Nia Jax DLC, it was different. That's because Danny Boy leaving. It was, okay. Becky Lynch when it was cool. Brock and Finn, as good of a match as you're going to get. You saw Kimura a lot.
Yeah, it was actually much better than I expected. It was actually much better.
Right.
It was actually a pretty exciting match. It was a pretty exciting match. And I said this before. I know me and you have talked about it, and I talked about it when I was watching it with a good buddy of mine. Some good Ask Chris questions I'm looking at too. I'll address those in a minute. Brock is very underrated as far as getting credit for being a good seller. Brock's a good seller, and I think he really gets. people, you know, they crap on Lesnar a lot as far as his appearances are concerned. I don't have a problem with Lesnar. I think Lesnar's I think he's still a good commodity to the WWE. I have a really big problem with him being champ. I do. I'm not. I like the fact. See, I think it should be kind of like the Hogan thing. You shouldn't go 3-4 months before we see you, but you shouldn't be on there every week. Like when AJ and Brock were champs, they were like the polar opposites. We saw AJ every week and not even the main event on a lot of SmackDowns. We saw Brock 3-4 months out, and they're just the polar opposites. I think we need a happy medium when it comes with that. Like, we don't see you every week, and when you do come, it's announced. You know, stuff like that really increases the stock of your world champion. And but other than that, I mean, just Brock without being a champ, I think he's still a good.
Brock was good.
Yeah, I think he's still a good part of the company, and he's a very underrated seller. I think when he wants to really put someone over, he does a fantastic job selling, and he did a really good job selling against Finn. I think he did well. I did not like the ending though. The ending of it was trash. Just here's the thing.
The Kimura lock?
No, I mean I was fine with the ending of the match because it seemed like it was a desperation, move. I was fine with that. But if the goal is to actually put Finn over, but still lose, they did a fantastic job. Like the match itself did a really good job with putting Finn over with him still losing. Fantastic. If they ended it that way, I would have been a big fan of it. The post-match crap, terrible idea. Why? Like, there's nothing that Brock Lesnar needs to do to become a bigger, and I've tweeted this, there's nothing that Brock Lesnar need to do to become a bigger a heel. And Finn needs all the help that he possibly can to become a stronger babyface. Why in the world would you have Brock just suplex him repeatedly? To me, that just ruined his entire momentum as a babyface, and I think that was a really bad call. There was a couple other things.
And let's add to the sleeper once again, Daniel Bryan against AJ Styles, which no one cared about.
The snore
We
fest.
all went to the bathroom and got something to drink.
Yeah.
Eric Rowan downloads, and I guess he's defending his brothers of the beard. Yeah. Like, why are you even here? One of the ugliest choke slams. Like,
yeah, that was a big
WWE feel anyone that's over 6'5", you have to do a power bomb or a choke slam.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan doesn't need any interference. He can beat AJ fair and square. It's believable, just like it's believable if AJ defeated Daniel Bryan fair and square.
Yep.
This was a waste.
Yeah.
I honestly forgot how the match ended.
With Rowan,
on paper,
I just
right.
We saw it. And that's the thing. That's the thing with. See, I'm a traditionalist, man. I'm old school when it comes to wrestling. I think I always say pro wrestling is a comic book come to life, and if we kept seeing the same story over and over and over again, we're not going to care about the last match, the climax to the story. First of all, there's hardly any story that's coming with this. Daniel Bryan's an environmentalist. He doesn't like hamburgers. AJ's defending the people. Okay? And we've seen Daniel Bryan versus AJ so much. Instead of actually taking time out to have a story like a comic book, or like I always say, pro wrestling is a comic book come to life. When you look at a comic book, the matches, the final showdown leading to all of the storyline arcs, it's not this page, that page, this page. It's at the end because we're setting up, we're building the crescendo, we're causing the climax, and we're just building all this thing up, and then at the end, the good guy wins. And so you know, I thought, and I think the fans, as much as fans are so pro good wrestling matches nowadays, it's still that kiddie desire to see a good story, and we just. Yeah, I mean, we saw the stuff over. Yeah, now granted, it did get a dead spot because it was after the Women's Royal Rumble, but at the same time, they could have got past that. The crowd just wasn't in it because we've seen it over and over and over again. It was terrible. Let me address a few of these Ask Chris questions before we get to. As I do that, just grade Raw and SmackDown. You know how we do it here for those who are normals. We don't talk too much about Raw and SmackDown. I do want to say a couple things about Raw and SmackDown. So as we do that, I'm going to address a couple of these Ask Chris questions, and also talk about the you guys are talking about theme music. Ask Chris, GSP's asking, what's your least favorite wrestling theme music? Samoa Joe's first NXT theme song was terrible. It was so terrible. Go Google that. Go Google Samoa Joe's. That's the first one that sticks out. I don't know if that's a worst, but that's the first one that sticks out. When he debuted in NXT, it was absolutely horrible. Terrible.
We all know you love that Dean stripper music, man, from '91. We know that.
No. That was from like '97 or something, because that was the same theme song as when he came as Antonio Cesaro when he was. When he was with
Cesaro, yeah.
Oh goodness, what's her name? Oksana when he was with Oksana. The same music that he had. That music was terrible too. All right, so we got Sufi Raw B-, Wild Boy B for both, Mahmood Raw B, SmackDown B-, B Team for GSP, Sufi SmackDown C-, Derek Raw and SmackDown C-. Okay. So, all right. Let's talk about. I did say I was going to give y'all some Taker trivia, so let's do this real quick. Here's the first one. Who did the Undertaker defeat on the? Oh, what was the answer? What was the answer?
Body bag.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Body bag. All right. Who did the Undertaker defeat on his first Monday Night Raw? Who did the Undertaker defeat on his first Monday Night Raw? All right, so let's talk about the real quick Raw and SmackDown stuff. I just want to make a couple notes with Raw. The Nia Jax Tamina versus Alexa Bliss and Mickey match, two heels. That was just an odd match. Now, here's what really got me. First of all, Elias is a heel again. I did like the Jarrett spot at the Rumble. I thought that was fantastic. Big fan of that. Kurt Angle was in there for a hiccup, and it goes to my point here. What the heck are they doing with Kurt Angle? He's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. Why?
They move his neck.
What are they doing? I mean, I see no rhyme or reason with this. Angle is, he can have a ready-made storyline built for him for Mania with whoever. He has that legendary status. WWE is tarnishing the legend of Kurt Angle when it comes to actually having a good storyline to prepare someone for Mania. Angle could have been the perfect person to put somebody over at Mania. He could have been the perfect person to put someone like a Drew over. Angle versus Drew at Mania? Sign me up. But you wasted on a Raw, and you have Drew make Angle tap out to his own move, and then you have Baron Corbin, whose win-loss record has been terrible, over the past 6 months or so. He did beat Finn, or I think it was Elias that he beat, or maybe both. I think he recently beat Elias, but hasn't had an impressive win-loss record at all. And you have him beat Angle on a regular Raw. It was mind-boggling to me that you would just sabotage Angle's stock like that, because he could have really put somebody over. He could have really put a heel over. That was terrible to me. And then the second thing, the Lashley Finn thing, I'm okay with that as far as the Intercontinental title feud. All the F5s by Brock Lesnar. Again, it goes back to my point, like, how am I sold on Seth being the guy to break this stuff, and Brock just jacked him up with all those F5s. And then there was one other thing. The Elias heel turn. Like, what are they doing with Elias? I think it just seems like WWE was like, you know what? This heel, this babyface project from Elias is no good. So they shouldn't have turned him in the first place. I've said this before. They shouldn't have turned him in the first place. That was a bad call. And then speaking of heel turns, let's go to SmackDown. Rusev with just a random heel turn. Now, everybody knows I'm a big R-Truth fan.
It's a DLC.
Yeah, terrible.
Downloadable content.
It was horrible, man. And again, it just go to me. I think the ovation of R-Truth winning the U.S. title at WrestleMania, like, why are they just wasting possible really good WrestleMania build-ups? It seems like they are doing Almas and Mysterio for Mania, which I'm cool with. I called that.
Cool.
Andrade and Mysterio, they should do that for Mania. They should have a build going into Mania.
Mysterio get jobbed.
And Mysterio should put Andrade over at Mania. But it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt Andrade if he lost, though. But it would put him over. It would put him over regardless, because he has a main spot at a marquee match at Mania against Rey Mysterio. But it would be better for him if he did win, though.
You know they need new content. That's why they're doing random stuff. Kevin Dunn, get R-Truth as the champ. The U.S. title. Get rid of Jericho. Add
R-Truth to the intro.
Random. Add him.
I'm a big fan of R-Truth, man. So him winning the U.S. title was totally fine by me. I was actually marked out a little bit. But I don't know. Personally, I think 7 years. Personally, I think they should save stuff, big moments like that for Mania. They really should. They should save big moments like that.
You forgot your boy. You forgot to mention your boy Road Dogg back singing.
Oh yeah, with my baby tonight on Mania, yeah. So on Raw. So it seemed like they may do an Elias versus Jeff Jarrett. I know Jeff Jarrett, as far as I was told that Jeff Jarrett. I was told by someone. Yeah, I was told by someone WWE related that Jeff Jarrett's an agent backstage now. So yeah, I mean, it seems like he's doing some on-screen stuff. Heck, why not? I mean, Elias versus Jeff Jarrett at Mania. I'm sure that people would be interested in that. Just the nostalgia feel to it. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing with Angle. I think it's a terrible call. And then just a random Rusev heel turn. I just really thought that was just super weird to me. Super weird. And then we get the same people, Styles, Orton, Hardy, Ali, Joe. I like the fact that they're doing Usos versus Shane and Miz, because the Usos can carry a match like nobody's business. But I like Heavy Machinery, but them beating the New Day, come on now. That was odd. That was pretty odd. Let's address a few of these questions here. I like Bam Bam Bigelow's music. Come on. Bam, bam. Bam! Bam! Mahmoud is asking, will that help if Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder become tag champs at Mania? That would... I like them, but I don't think that that's a good call. Good call. Speaking of good calls, good job. Damien Demento. Next question. Next taker question. What was the Undertaker's first WrestleMania? What was the Undertaker's first WrestleMania? GSP's asking, Matt Riddle better enjoy not wearing shoes in NXT because Vince ain't have. That's right. Axe Rusev of Tyler Rex has been on the show before a couple times, and he shared that same story as far because he started off not wearing shoes either, and no, it wasn't a good deal for that. So no, let's see. Good. Okay, good job, Brandon. Good job, Mahmood. Brandon, Joe. Good job. WrestleMania 7. Good job. 7 against Super Fly. Next one. What event did The Undertaker win his first WWE Championship? What event did The Undertaker win his first WWE Championship? Ask Chris, how are you? I'm well, Malty. Good to have you on the show tonight, man. I always shout out to Malty, man. He is a part of the PNP Nation. He's a regular on the chat. I appreciate your support, man. Very, very much so. Tuesday in Texas is what's someone? Nope. Nope. That felt like real pay-per-view then. Tuesday in Texas. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Dean Ambrose and Hideo Itami real quick. So, and also Ronda Rousey. So, Rousey, the Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that Rousey. A few things. So we got three people. We got Rob Gronkowski. There's a report that he will not be coming to the WWE. Mojo Rawley's teased it, and there's some people who teased him coming, especially after Mania in Orlando last year. But as far as there's NFL Insider. From the NFL Network, who said that he's not going to be in the WWE. Very interesting because he's still young, and it would make sense for him to do that. But speaking of that Super Bowl, go Rams. I don't like the Pats. Yeah, good job, Mahmoud. Ian Rappaport said it's unlikely. Maybe Gronk gets involved in the XFL. That would make sense to me. Good job, Joe. And someone else said Mahmood. Survivor Series 1991 with help from Flair.
I remember that.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think Gronk should go to the XFL. And
Flair,
so we got,
who in rare fashion, if I'm right, came out to do a run-in while still wearing his robe.
Yes. And he's
never done since.
He slid the chair under there. I think Shane McMahon was
reffing,
if I'm not mistaken, or he was either reffing or he was he was around there when Flair trying to get Flair away or something like that. I remember Shane had something. Because he wasn't built as Shane McMahon. He was not built as Vince's son.
He was just there.
He was built as Shane.
He was just the other.
Oh, what was he built as? I'm sure that's someone in the chat room, but gonna look it up. But he was Shane something. I forgot what. But it wasn't. It wasn't Shane McMahon when he was a referee. And okay, so we got Gronk, we got then we got Ronda Rousey that the reserve is reporting that she's going to be gone after Mania. And
she's not.
Here's the thing: if I can see her being gone because I know that she really wants to start a family. Because to me, it's always been a temporary thing for Ronda Rousey when it came to just WWE period, and it seems like that's the reason why they hot shot her push, because they realized that they realized that it is going to be a short term deal, which makes sense. I mean, it makes sense for Ronda Rousey to be there short term. She just made the UFC Hall of Fame. She wants to start a family. I'm okay with it, man. I'm totally okay with that. So it seems like she's going to put Ronda over. Again, I think the triple threat idea is a bad call. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. If she does leave at Mania, I don't see her leaving. Good job. Thanks, Wild Boy. Shane Stevens. That's it. Shane Stevens.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Brandon Shane Stevens. Yep. All right. So I can see Rousey putting Ronda over. I mean, Becky over, and just going away from the WWE. I can definitely see her making appearances, here and there, maybe even having like Mania matches and stuff like that. But I'm cool with her. Just focusing on her family, after Mania, and I think she's had a solid year. And then we get Itami, which just was announced. Made sense.
Not surprised.
Yeah, it's not a surprise at all. I think that he was huge in Noah when he was Kenta. I like Kenta. I like Kenta as a name anyway. He's better. I think Hideo Itami just doesn't have a real catchy name to it. Sports. That's a good point. I didn't see Asuka on SmackDown. That's a good point. And he actually just said thank you. He tweeted and said thank you. That was his last tweet. Very interesting. But I can see Itami be a star in New Japan. I know he was a big star in Noah. I can see him be a star in New Japan. I can see him be a star in AEW. Oh yeah, I think that Kenta would be a fantastic addition to AEW. Now, we haven't seen it. We haven't, AEW is diminishing a lot in its hypeness, and I've talked about this. Very interesting stuff. He's diminished a lot in his hypeness. But yeah, I think Kenta would be a fantastic addition to the AEW card as a top star. So I think it would really.
It's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it really helps. I think it really helps Kenta. I think it really help. I think I think being away from the WWE actually improves Kenta's stock. Now, Ambrose, on the other hand, I don't know how big his stock would be by leaving the WWE. Because to me, Kenta versus Kenny Omega sounds much more appealing than Dean Moxley or John Moxley versus Kenny Omega. Like, from an indie from a non-WWE standpoint, Kenta has better marquee, has better star power, bigger star power than Moxley or Dean Ambrose does.
Right, because Kenta started popularizing the move "Go to Sleep."
Yep,
that's his move. Kenta's known all around the world, and Kenta and Omega, like I said, is more star power. Mm-hmm. Dean Ambrose is mainly known in the States. Not saying he doesn't have fans overseas, but his resume does not transcend the States.
Yep.
So Kenta's done RH. He's done New Japan, Noah, all over the world. You know, and Deanie Boy is just here in the States, nothing diminishing him. And honestly, who's going to really miss Ambrose? When he was gone, when he was injured, did anybody really miss him? And I'm not against Ambrose. He's okay. And anybody that know me, I've said it on the show, and even we talked about this off air. Ambrose was cool. He reminds me kind of like the Pillman-esque.
Yep.
I feel Ambrose needs freedom to be himself.
Yeah.
And I always liked Seth in the ring, even be with Tyler Black, and always, you know, I like Reigns. I'm like Reigns. You know, Reigns is cool. He is the best one. But he's gone. Like, who missed Dean when he was hurt?
No.
Except for Rollins.
He was gone 8 months.
Renee Young.
He was gone 8 months.
Right. Who missed him?
That didn't. I personally. There was nothing. There was no part of me that was like, man, we need Dean Ambrose back. And again, like you said, that's not a knock toward Dean, but at the same time, he wasn't. He hasn't been utilized strong enough to be noticeably gone. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, this is right. Really hurting. You know, like when Braun was gone for a couple months, you know, recovering from injury. Like, you felt that. Like, you can tell that it was gone. When Rollins was gone, you know, you felt that. You know what I mean? There was, I mean, stronger than you did Ambrose. It wasn't, you know, like terribly bad, but you still, you know, there was still a feeling of, you know, Seth Rollins was an addition to the show. Of course, Reigns has been gone for 3 months, and you know, definitely feel it. But Ambrose, no. I mean, he was gone 8 months, and there wasn't any feeling there as far as him being gone.
I popped more for when JBL, and Jerry the King Lawler became DLC commentators.
There you go.
Then when Dean came back.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't dislike General Malty said he's a Dean fan, which is cool. He's okay. I don't hate him.
Yeah, me either.
I just think maybe like a Cody Rhodes. Well, I can't say it because I like Cody when he was in WWE. Mm-hmm. I think maybe Dean just need to. Even watching the documentary they did on Dean when he was working out, you know, coming back from his injury, I kind of felt he's one of those guys. He needs somewhere where he can just be himself. He can just be free and have more control over his character and what he does. Mm-hmm. So maybe his stock will rise. Who knows?
Hopefully, I wish him the best. I wish he does a fantastic job on the Indies. I know that he's used, you know, to the Indies before he went to WWE. He was very good. He was exceptionally good. I think for Ambrose though, I think to me, I don't see him in New Japan. I don't see him as like if he's in AEW, I don't think he really pushes the needle of interest. Really, honestly, I think that there's going to be some indie marks that would watch his match with AEW, but personally, when I think of Ambrose, I'm not like, okay, so I was thinking about watching Double or Nothing, or I was thinking about investing into AEW. Oh, but Moxley, he's going there now, so that's really going to do it. Like, he doesn't have that type of star power from a you know, international standpoint. Kenta, Hideo Itami on the other hand, 100%. I think that if Itami goes to AEW, I think it'd be a fantastic addition for sure. Because I mean, I think if you had Omega versus, I mean, and all signs are pointing to Omega going to AEW. If you headline an AEW pay-per-view with Kenny Omega versus Kenta, I think that would blow the roof off. I think that would be a fantastic introductory, you know, first main event. I think it would.
I feel in what Multi is saying. I don't miss JBL on commentary. I don't. Gosh, I rather listen to Corey Graves.
Neither.
King can be missed, but King was only good when he was with Ross, when he let King be king.
True.
Jerry King Lawler doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's at that point where, look, I can leave or come back.
Mm-hmm.
JBL really wasn't. JBL needs someone he can work with. When JBL was with Cole on SmackDown, he was well. When he was the wrestling god as Jibble with the shuffle, I thought, despite his weight issues, I thought he was pretty well. He was the longest reigning SmackDown champ. Yep. JBL and Edge carried SmackDown, and for a while around that time, SmackDown was pretty darn good, if not almost on par with Raw. But trust me, I don't miss him on commentary. If Jerry King Lawler is not commentating with JR, if JBL is not with Michael Cole or Mitchell Cole, I don't want to hear him.
Yeah.
Give me Dusty. This and old footage of Dusty commentating. Bring back Mike Tenay.
That's right.
Bring back footage of Lee Marshall.
Bring back Dusty
give me
baby.
Lance Russell. Give me Booker T.
WCW
Hell,
Sunday
give me
night,
Mondo.
baby.
Give me Mondo.
Oh no, you can keep Mongo. JBL.
You rather Mondo over Corey Graves?
No. Corey to me, he tries his best. He's just oversaturated though. I think if he was just on one show, it would help my likeness for him much more. I think he's just overkill because he is the same type of antagonistic jargon both Monday and Tuesday. So Wild Boy just said Hideo changed his Twitter name to Kenta. So yeah, it looks like it's official. Wild Boy also asked why the WWE announced report Dean leaving so early. I think just trying to keep ahead of the curve when it comes to. Of course, I'd imagine they weren't totally surprised when that broke, but WWE just always wants to be ahead of the curve. So that I'd imagine that they announced it to try to be ahead of the curve. So. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so Multi said Corey Graves is great, but strikes me as a guy who thinks he's better than he actually is. I wouldn't say great. I would say good. Yeah, if he was on just one show, I think it'd be perfect for him. All right, next Taker trivia question, and we're going to tackle these Taker Mania matches. What year did the Undertaker debut in the WWE? What year did he debut in the WWE? All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it. Brandon, already fantastic. Looks like you got it together, baby. 1990. Good job, 1990. There you go. All right, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, flavor of the week. Let's go.
It is now time for the flavor of the week.
My bad. Threw a cough out there.
Got it. Here. And the mink.
Just came out of nowhere. Cough out of nowhere. Zed said, can't believe 1990 was almost 30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years ago. I remember watching it on Survivor Series. All right, so let's go. The first one was in 1991, WrestleMania 7. Jimmy Snuka. Just seemed like that was just a throwaway, just to really get them.
Team Stones that didn't even connect.
No, that was just.
That was ugly.
Yeah, I agree. That was not good at all.
Snuka kept shaking, no reason.
Yeah,
had them Saturday night's main event tights.
Yeah,
like what are you?
Oh man, yeah, that was funny. The next year was like total opposite. Like him and Jake Roberts was just, first of all, the angle was perfect. The angle was amazing. Because the Ultimate Warrior was involved in that too. The whole he was trying to get, do you trust me and all that, and then the rest in peace at the end, with the Warrior, with the Ultimate Warrior, and yeah, so it was just really, really interesting. And it was that Jake Roberts was like, whose side are you on? And then Taker was like, not yours. and then the crowd just went bananas. That was the babyface turn. So it was really interesting, man. So I think he planted like 3 DDTs on him that year or something like that, and he ate them all. It was really interesting, man. I think that match with against Roberts, watch that again for those listening. It was a good match. The next one with Harvey Whoopman with WrestleMania 9, that was terrible. It was still to this day Taker's worst Mania, and I would say 19 is probably 2. With A-Train and Big Show, we'll get to that on another week. But just WrestleMania 9 was just terrible. First of all, the DQ finish.
Not that 11 was any much better with King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, Bundy for 11 was.
They all forget about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in just a second here too. But yeah, 9 speaks for itself. The worst one. And then 4 was King Kong Bundy. The WrestleMania 11, because he wasn't there for 10. Yeah, 11 wasn't good either. Just the whole $1 Million Corporation thing. King Kong Bundy was just a weird addition at that time. It wasn't the best either.
Yeah. Your match sucks when all they ever show from that match is the clip of you doing the top rope clothesline.
Yeah,
that's
right.
the only footage they show.
That's a good point. Yeah, good point. Then we had 12, which was Diesel, which was decent.
Good match.
Yeah, and then 13. 13 was
who was 13?
Yeah, what was 13? Sid. Yeah.
Sid. We forgot Sid.
Yeah, because Sid beat Michaels and
Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Bitter Bret. Yeah. Bret kept coming in like a baby. Yeah. He interfered twice.
Yeah.
Like, what do we?
Yeah, that's Bret. It was really interesting. It was like a 4-way elimination match. And it was like because Shawn Michaels, that was the whole Lost His Smile, right? In '97, because he vacated it.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, and then you had the 4-way. Yeah, very interesting stuff.
Right. 13 was a weird year.
Yeah.
97 was just weird. They was getting their butts whipped, so.
It was, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, fantastic show. Thank you so much, Adam Rose, for being a part of the show tonight. I really, really appreciate you being on the show, man, and I appreciate you sharing your story on the show tonight and really allowing this show to be, vulnerable, being vulnerable in this show, to really express that, and so big kudos to you for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 357 in the books. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to thank you so much, Adam. I want to thank Adam Rose. I want to thank Evan Tech Prout, Undermat Radio. Thank you so much, everyone. Listen, everyone, perfect timing. Join the Patreon for all these, for continued weekly interviews for wrestlers. Sports Hoodle says, great show, man. I'm new and I'm a fan. Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Like, share, comment on the show. Thank you so much, everybody. Wild Boy says, thanks again, Chris, for this platform. Man, come on, guys. Come on. It's the PNP Nation. It's the family. And you know why I do it, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your week of wrestling. Until next week, God bless. But you know why I do it, ladies and gentlemen. I do it for you. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. God bless. Bye-bye.